Hey, what is up you guys, you're watching Team APS, and in case you were living under a rock, the ban list updated for May 2018. So this new ban list goes into effect on the 21st, that's actually next week, and we're not going to be getting a new one anytime sooner than August 2018. So this ban list has a lot of interesting, crazy changes, and I want to just hop right in, talk about all of them, what I think about them, and what it can mean for the game. So Astrograph Sorcerer. This is a card that we all kind of knew was in the line of fire for a while, and I think that it's a good decision for it to go. I've gone on in saying I think this card is just a little bit overtuned, it does too many things, it's just too powerful, and Pendulum Magicians can really push it over the edge. Now that said, I mean, there are going to be substitute cards, and Pendulum Magicians I think will be able to survive because this is the only direct hit to Pendulum strategies. However, I do think that it's good to see the back of this card. Next is Masterpiece, another controversial card. It was really high in contention for how it was going to get hit, and banning the card I think is a pretty good idea. It means that Dragonic Diagram gets to stay and still be used for some lower tier decks that use it in a couple of different rogue strategies, but you no longer have to deal with a deck that just turbos out a really difficult to deal with boss monster. Phoenician Cluster Amaryllis was a card that we probably knew was going to eventually have to get banned. It's actually part of some really powerful plant-based FTKs with Topologic Bomber Dragon, and those FTKs will only get more consistent as things like Crystron Needle Fiber and Summon Sorceress come out. So this is a good hit, it's safe, it's early, and I approve. Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom is a pretty interesting hit. Some people thought that the Lyrilusk fusion monster would get hit instead, but I agree with this. It allows Lyrilusk to still be a deck and still play, and it also gets rid of a monster that can copy effects. Copying effects in Yu-Gi-Oh! Tends to be a little bit too strong, tends to open up abuse, so I think this is fine. There aren't any particular decks that really will hurt without this card, and it just means that Pendulum Magicians lose another FTK that they had access to. Ancient Fairy Dragon is one that I wasn't entirely sure about. It's been banned in the OCG for a while, but I wasn't sure if that was going to happen here. That said, I think I'm pretty glad to see it go. It sucks because there were a lot of rogue decks that did need this card, but on the other hand, it was heavily abused in decks like ABCs and Spirals, and it made Destrudo extremely powerful. So I don't mind seeing it go too much. I think it's for the greater good. Rank Up Magic Argent Chaos Force is a pretty interesting hit. I didn't actually know if it would happen or not because I never really felt like the Utopic Zexal strategy was super integral to Pendulum Magicians. That said though, they have been able to abuse it, and nothing is worse than losing a turn to what's basically a free spell. So I think this is pretty much a good hit. It won't really be missed, and that's okay. That Grass Looks Greener is a really interesting hit. I didn't know if it would actually happen. It's a really strong card, and a lot of people said that it might. But yeah, it's kind of gotten out of control. I mean, you guys have seen the 60 card deck list that have been topping and winning events. It makes sense. Fairy Tale Snow, Shaddolls, Dinosaurs, Zombies, there's a lot going on, and this card can really feel like a blowout when it resolves. There's just too much advantage for you to beat. That said though, I do think that 60 card decks will still have a place in the game. They've kind of been able to function beyond just having this card. So this being banned isn't so bad in my opinion, and I don't think it's the end of the world for those decks either. So Dynamite Knight getting limited is interesting. Because Masterpiece is banned, it probably makes sense to be able to bring this card back. You now get easier access to cards like True King's Return and of course Apocalypse. That said, I think that without Masterpiece, this means this card will be a lot more manageable. Getting rid of it actually means something. It's not just a means to an end, and there's no Masterpiece that's just going to get summoned in your turn. So I like it. Gem-Knight Master Diamond to 1 is a pretty good way to hit the Gem-Knight FTK without neutering the deck. There's not much more to say about it. This FTK was pretty consistent, but it didn't make top tables all that often. I don't think it's going to be missed by any means, but this is still really good for Gem-Knight players. Chain Strike to 1 is a kind of interesting hit. I didn't really see it coming because I haven't seen this card used a whole lot in competitive play. I've seen it teched in Trick Stars a few times, but that's basically it. I guess going to 1 isn't a bad thing though. I mean, nobody really likes this card, so I can get with it. Apoqliphort Towers to 2 makes sense. This card didn't really make much of an impact when it came to 1, so I suppose it's fine at 2. Ring of Destruction is also now at 2. I don't think that this card was really seeing a lot of play, and I still don't think this is going to change anything for the card, so Atlantean Dragoons coming to 3 is a pretty big deal for Mermail players, but not much else. Now this does allow them to extend their combos a bit further, and it gives some consistency to the deck. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. I don't think Mermails are suddenly going to be winning events, but it does help. If you're surprised at Grandsoil going to 3, it's because it recently got its errata that gives it a hard once per turn in its effect. This means that you can now use Element Saber decks perfectly fine and have access to all of the Elemental Lords, but it's no longer open to abuse. Ignis Heat coming to 3 is a cool decision. I think that with Masterpiece banned, like with Dynamite Knight, this really opens the deck up to just being played as it's meant to be played. I think it's still going to be a strong deck, but just not overpowering. Mathematician to 3 makes sense. This wasn't really doing anything, so you know, good for them. Neo-Spacian Grand Mole is something I've been advocating for years, and it's finally back. I think it really had to because they're releasing that new Elemental Hero Neos fusion in the Megatins, and it seems like it's going to need this card, so yeah. Compulsory Evacuation device is pretty cool. Like with Bottomless Trap Hole and Torrential Tribute, I don't see this card making a huge impact, but it's nice to see these older trap cards finally getting their way off the ban list. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your new Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden and Limited list for May 2018. So what does it all mean? Well, basically, I feel like Pendulum Magicians are now severely nerfed. I think that the deck will still be playable, and I think that Pendulum strategies in general will still be playable. Electromite is still at 3, and they still have access to a really strong extra deck toolbox. But without things like Astrograph giving them extra advantage and without the perks of like having an FTK or having Utopic Zexal, it means that the deck will no longer be overpoweringly strong. It's going to be a lot more evenly matched with the competition. True Dracos are in a little bit of a different position. Without Masterpiece, it's probably not going to be a tournament contender, but it is still going to be a pretty fun, powerful deck to play. I mean, having access to all of your smaller True Draco monsters means that you will still have a lot of consistency here. And you can even mess around with cards like Metaltron 12 if you're interested. But it's no longer going to be the problem that's always been for people, and I think that most players are going to be glad at that change. It seems like Konami was really targeting some OTK, FTK, burn strategies and different stuff like that. Phoenician Cluster, Chain Strike, Starving Venom, and the Gem Knight Master Diamond Hit. These are all good things. I think the game is a lot more fun when there aren't FTKs around. I've made videos about that, of course. And I mean, you know, generally speaking, this is a good thing. That said, there are still going to be more FTKs along the way when Needle Fiber and Summon Sorceress release, but I guess those will just have to get answered as they come. Some key cards that didn't get hit that people have always kind of wanted. Ash Blossom's still around. I'm okay with it at this point. Terraforming still around. Who knows? I mean, you know, it seems like it's all right for now. Dragonic Diagram is still around. Evenly Matched is still around. There are a lot of cards that people wanted to get hit that are still going to be a part of the game. That said, though, I think that some of these cards will be less prevalent moving forward. I think a safe outlook for the competitive game moving forward is that Altergeist are going to be a very prevalent and powerful deck. They're going to kind of be the anti-meta strategy to stop. Brandish Maidens are going to be the fast, speedy deck that you really don't want to have to face, and it'll probably be one of the best. And then we've also got a few things like Pendulum Hybrids, Nightmare Spam decks. It really depends. I think that this format's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be healthy, and I think this ban list did a good job of just making sure that the playing field is generally even. Now that said, we're going to have to develop some new side deck cards for countering the newer strategies. But overall, I mean, this isn't like a huge change to the format. It's just kind of that incremental time shift that we always get in Yu-Gi-Oh! All right, leave a comment down below with what you think of the ban list, what you think is going to be good, what you think should have gotten hit or shouldn't have gotten hit, and I'll be reading them and responding. Remember to thumbs up the video if you liked it, give it a subscription, hit the notification bell, follow me on social media, and I'll see you guys in the next one.